When something's too far away and you can't reach it, just use another domino and slide it in and kind of use that as an extension of your finger. And then you just take it out. This is really difficult to build because I'm like in between these cups. Really sketchy. I'm filling the safety gap, and this is literally the most stressful thing I've ever done. This staircase fell over like 4 or 5 times, but I finally got it. Like if I knock this down, this fall wall is going, the stairs are going, which I worked so hard on. Let's just carefully fill these in. And this is my right hand, by the way. I'm a lefty. All right, there we go.
Nice. We didn't like how there's this wooden bar at the bottom of the fall wall. Kind of contrasts the white background, which we don't really want that. So we found this white tape downstairs, and we're gonna use it to cover up the bottom layer of the fall wall.
That's probably fine, right?
Yeah, that looks good. Oh, that looks much better.
Oh, I like it.
Blends perfectly with the bench. What now?
We're not planning this setup at all. We have like some ideas, but we're just like thinking on the spot and freestyling it.
At some point, Lily's gonna build this board, which I know like a special trick that we can like put dominoes on the board and then they all kind of crash down. We're still brainstorming some designs for that one. Maybe not the best one to do next, but that'll be one we do probably pretty soon. Since it's in the corner, we'll want to knock out like the corners pretty soon because that allows us to build into the space. One question I get a lot is like, how do you reach all the dominoes? And it's like, well, we have to, engineer it so that we build like the outsides of the space first, and then we sort of build towards us so that way we can actually reach it all.
Like you think you build it all linearly, like you start with the start and then you go to the end, but no, it's like all like mixed up, and then we kind of connect it at the same time.
So maybe we could, think of another project that goes along a wall, like maybe this wall would be a good one. We still need to think of something for the finale as well. Something big, something cool. Like last year we did the fire tower.
I want to go really tall though.
Really tall?
Yeah.
Well, the ceiling is, I think it's 9 feet high. Right now, the way we've built it, the best spot, like the best open area for a finale would obviously be like back here. We'll be thinking about that. Well, Lily decides what to build next. I've still got some work to do on my towers. I finished the outermost ring with the green cylinders, and now I need to start continuing up with the the purple and orange, and I need to be able to connect these ones. I measured it out when I was first building it so that I could connect these green ones with 1 domino and these purple ones with 2. So I've taped these pink ones together, and hopefully if I built it well, it should be the proper distance to connect with 2. And so I'm gonna use all of these pink dominoes to basically do the same thing that I did with the neon green, but link up the purple instead. And then once I finish the purple, I'll have to do the same thing with the orange using these gold dominoes, and I'll have to tape 3 together for that. I've also connected the green to some strings. Because of the way this structure falls, I can't have dominoes collapsing into it to knock it down because that would knock over all 3 rings instead of just the outside one. So I've had to connect some dominoes to strings, which will connect to this block that'll go up right here. And it connects to this one, which is about where you'd place one on any structure, 5 layers down. That's a good one to pull. And then normally you do like another one like on the same layer, like maybe this one or this one. But these structures are a little harder to trigger. Like they don't want to fall as much as like a normal domino wall does. So what I've done is I've triggered this one here as well as this one. The reason that this is a good one to pull is because once this one is pulled, this is another 4 layers below that. So this will still be able to like trigger more dominoes to pull it out, and very quickly it'll basically be like the entire cylinder is like forced to fall because these 2 dominoes are pulled out. And I'll do a similar string trick for the purple and for the orange.
Very cool.
Thank you.
How do you attach the strings for the purple and orange?
It'll just be like probably these same 2, but like on higher levels, just because they're obviously higher. They can't overlap the green, otherwise the green could like trigger the other ones right away. So this one, it's obviously gonna start on this side for the green. Come back here, I'll have like a field that like branches off from this last pillar, and then that'll go to like another small large set, which I've set over there for now. And that will pull like probably those same 2 dominoes, but just on the purple tower. And then it'll get a little more complicated when I do the orange because I'll need to have an elevated small to large, but we can talk about that later. It's really complicated and it's super dense too.
Yeah,
like even though it doesn't look like a whole lot of dominoes, but it's three rings that are very packed together.
Look inside here.
So like each one of these cylinders on every layer, it's 8 plus 6 plus 4, so that's 18. So this already has a lot of dominoes in it, and it's only about 1/3 of its height too.
Can't wait to see it when it's done.
We are making the base for this structure. Lily is doing like a star with 9 points. And she's made this so far, which looks awesome. We're a little concerned about how tight these turns are. They're like extremely close, maybe
yeah, they're like pretty much on top of each other.
Yeah.
And we're gonna build this like really tall, maybe 5 feet, and it has to be really stable. So should we widen the whole shape of it?
I think we should, because the thing is, the further away each of these vertices are, the more of like an open angle we can have this be. Like the more this would turn into like this. So basically, if each of these vertices is moved out, the triangles can be at more of an angle and become like a wider isosceles triangle that's more likely to work. This would probably work, but we want to be extra safe, especially because this is like what we're planning for the finale. So what we're thinking is we'll take kind of like this base design and see if we can like move it out and make it to a size where it's going to be a little more safe.
Yeah, originally when I thought of this like star-shaped design, the points would have been more like that, but just the shape of this, how do you even say a 9-sided shape?
Nonagon?
Nonagon, yes. This nonagon, the sides, just like the width of them are pretty short, so I just kind of went with that, and it came out with a really skinny triangle. So maybe we just need a bigger one.
So I use these shapes a lot. Like I have one printed out as a hexagon that I've used for tons of stuff. The original one that I made last year was a decagon, and I used it for like a half pyramid, but it went around with like decagonal pillars. Let's see, I'm gonna try to take this out and show you at least how I would use this piece of paper to make wider vertices. So what you can do is you can like measure out, like put one domino like in the middle of each one. And obviously it doesn't have to just be a domino, you can do whatever length you want. And this just kind of helps you properly eyeball like about how long each vertice should be. So then like, you know, you can kind of start putting like, okay, I want to have a vertice in the middle of these 2 dominoes. I want to have a vertice in the middle of these 2 dominoes. It helps you to visualize that. To make this with like 2 dominoes on each one, I feel like this could be far out enough, but maybe even like 1.5 or 2 would be the right amount. And then we can kind of plan our vertices like based on that. You could just assume that like the middle of a domino is about where your vertices should go. Using just the geometry of a nonagon, it should kind of point outwards to like this point right here. So it's more about just like understanding the geometry of the shape, and that helps you to just make it all even rather than actually using the paper for like
the paper was actually very helpful. Like I built the whole thing just looking at these vertices here.
Like I said, I have lots of these and I use them all the time. Really helps me with like getting angles right that aren't typical ones. Like if it's a 90-degree angle, you don't really need help with that. But for things like 60-degree angles, for like triangles or hexagons, these are super helpful.
Yeah, I've never used any of these, but I will definitely try to now that I know how to use them. All right, I'm gonna redo that then. We had a very sad fail.
I was building this top part here and I accidentally kicked this into the green. So it knocked over like the bottom layer.
It worked though.
It worked perfectly.
Perfect.
Luckily it wasn't entirely connected. So we're kind of trying to decide like what we want to do. Rebuilding it will be extremely difficult just because it's up against the wall. So there's not a whole lot of room.
Unless we open this door and sit inside the closet.
Probably move some of my Christmas stuff.
Is it worth it?
It might be. We'll see. I'd really like to rebuild it the way I intended to have it.
Yeah.
But there definitely are a few options. One of them is obviously just leaving it off because it'll still work without it. Then the problem is we have these big gaps in between the pillars, which I'd really like to not have.
Yeah, we could put like lines through it or another domino wall if possible. This string, this is deadly.
Yeah.
Never have loose rolling objects in your setup. Always keep them maybe like in a container or back there. All right, we've repaired the first 2 circular structures. It was very difficult, but we managed to reach behind here, and we're building in the closet, so we have room to actually build behind it. How's it going back there, Nathan?
Pretty good, pretty crammed.
Good thing we built this in front of the closet though. Like we probably wouldn't be able to repair this without that. Somehow we managed to repair it. Look at that, it's back. Not bad, right?
It's pretty good. Other than like if you look behind it or over top, you'd really never know that it's like built at the most awkward angle ever. I'm just rebuilding the Jenga tower stanchions that I had up before, and then I can finish this little bit of orange that I have left.
I'm glad we decided to rebuild it.
Me too. Me too. I think it was worth it.
Yeah. It'll still look cool with 2, but having it go back and forth 3 times is like,
yeah,
it's a much better shape.
That really like demonstrates the full concept of it too.
Yeah.
Just that it gets, you know, 1 domino bigger each time. 3 definitely does a better job of highlighting that.
I finally finished the base of this. It's like a nonagon star, and I'm using this nonagon in the middle as kind of like my marker to line up all of these points and make sure they're all even. I've just been using these as measurements, and now I think I can remove this. Don't really need that anymore, and I don't need these other markers, so I can get rid of that. And now I can start building on top of it. We'll see how tall it can get. The end of day 2, and I'm working on this finale structure using this really cool technique. It's a nonagon star. Finished the fall wall over here and the staircase, and Nathan finished this.
Finally done. It took me pretty much the whole day, but we finished our concentric circle wall.
Yes, and it looks great. It's definitely worth it to rebuild it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. We had another small fail over here. Nathan, what happened?
I placed the teal one on that was had like a little plastic lip on it. Luckily, it just fell this way, but now I just kind of had to take apart this part of the base.
What's up, Domino community? Be sure to check out part 3 because I build probably my favorite spiral I've ever done, and you know I like spirals. And subscribe to MarDominoes and subscribe to the H5 Domino community channel. I'm Lily/Hevish5, and keep on building.